Hello everyone, and welcome to my Gintama arc review series, where I'll be reviewing every arc in Gintama in order. Today we start with the Memory Loss arc, which spans 2 anime episodes and 3 manga chapters. First things first, let's discuss the introduction. After purchasing the newest edition of Shonen Jump, Gintoki begins driving his way home. Being lost in his own thoughts about whether said purchase was worth it or not, he crashes into a car after failing to stop at a 4-way intersection and is hospitalized. After the doctors finished patching up his wounds, the others came to check if he was alright, but sadly found out he now has amnesia. Distraught, Shinpachi and Kagura run all around Edo with Gin, attempting to somehow find a way to jog his memory. Throughout the episode, they are actually partially successful on a few occasions, but then something else happens in classic Gintama fashion which gets rid of the small chance they had. During their excursion, Sakamoto, Gintoki's old buddy from the war, is in the middle of crashing his ship directly into the Oddjobs building, and then for some reason, Kagura and Shinpachi expect Gintoki to be able to do something, which I'm still not exactly sure what they were expecting. It's not like he has Mihawk's abilities from One Piece or something. He can't just slice a galleon in half with a single swing. He's just a regular dude who's pretty good with a sword. If anything, Kagura might have been able to do something since she's literally a member of the Yato clan who are famous for their supernatural strength. Hey guys, editing Kev here. I was just watching episode 87 and Sogo straight up does this. So, shit, I guess it is plausible. I haven't seen Gintama in its entirety in a long time now, so I guess I forgot the characters are capable of such feats. Anyway though, moving on. By the end of the first episode, Gintoki's home is destroyed and nobody he talked to throughout the whole day mentions much good he's done. Quite the opposite actually. He avoided paying rent as much as he could, hardly paid the other Oddjobs members, and was pretty rude to anyone he met. After realizing this, Gintoki fires Kagura and Shinpachi and sets them free, as he put it, before disbanding the Oddjobs. Up until this point in the story, Gintama was a comedy for the most part, and after rewatching this, I'm sure this shocked almost everyone who went into this show blind, expecting it to be a straight comedy, and acts as a perfect small tease for the more serious stuff to come. When the next episode begins, Otose reminisces about Gintoki, stating, "It's been 2 weeks since that idiot left, so this episode takes place over the course of a relatively long time, even though it only feels like 2 days or so since it is only 3 episodes. After the opening plays, Yamazaki, a member of the Shinsengumi, starts us off with a narration, exclaiming he's working undercover as a spy, investigating the factory's leader, Bonzo. It's rumored that he may be amassing samurai and terrorist weapons, including high-powered laser cannons to overthrow the government. To Yamazaki's dismay, he finds Gintoki there, who now resides in the factory's living quarters. Gintoki is surprisingly impressive at putting together the toys that come down the assembly line, called Justaways. Now that I think about it, this is probably the first episode to have Justaways, and if you didn't know, these things become a recurring joke later on. Next, cutting back to the former Oddjobs building, Otose lets a depressed Shinpachi and Kagura know of Gintoki's location. I really appreciate how Otose was the one who found out about this, because it makes a lot more sense for one of the 4 divas, the underground overlords of the Kabuki district, to have a wide variety of information available at their fingertips, than someone just stumbling upon Gintoki like Yamazaki did. Following that, Yamazaki actually ends up meeting Kondo there, the leader of the Shinsengumi. He showed up because he also lost his memories from the scene shown previously while eating Otae's food. Poor guy. After throwing one of the Justaways to Yama's surprise, it explodes and is revealed Bonzo was in fact preparing for a rebellion, and using labor as a way to make bombs. Not long after that, Bonzo assumes that they're spies sent by the government, rightfully so in fact, at least for one of them, and instigates a chase. Next, our unlikely trio gets caught and is put out for display on the roof of the building as hostages facing a Shinsengumi barricade. Yamazaki called those guys in earlier. Not long after, Bonzo begins reminiscing about his son while reading his diary. His son was an otaku most of his life, but the moment he finally decided to change things and stepped outside after 2 years of not leaving the house once, he sadly bore witness to his father in a drunken and miserable state on a children's playground swing. He was in said state because he'd just been laid off because of downsizing after having that job for 30 years. After viewing that scene, his son took a 180 and became a Yakuza. This is, along with the layoff mentioned, Bonzo's only reasoning for wanting to destroy the country and overthrow the government. Really seems like a tad of an overreaction, but alright. After a canon showdown, Gin finally has an epiphany and regains his memories in a beautiful sequence. Kagure and Shinpachi's perseverance finally pays off. At long last, Gin gets up, grabs his signature wooden sword from Shinpachi, and destroys Bonzo's cannon right before it's able to fire again. The thing explodes, and not too long after, Gintoki is seen walking out of the smoke, seemingly fine, so I suppose he escaped direct impact from the blast, but Bonzo? He's probably dead. It's not like Gin was carrying him out of the smoke or anything, so now that I think about it, that is a dark and sad end to the arc. After the government betrayed him, he worked undercover for 10 years amassing a revolutionary group and constructing his cannon only to be foiled at the end by that same government and died in the process with tears in his eyes. Well, I'm planning on ranking all these arcs, so let's give this one a solid 7 out of 10. It ended up being a well-entertaining piece of Gintama and definitely didn't overstay its welcome. I definitely prefer that first half because we got to see Gin's gradual realization of who he was and made the difficult choice of disbanding the Oddjobs. That scene, as I mentioned before, hit me super hard on my first watch, and it really gives you a taste of what this show is capable of making you feel. Oh yeah, and if you're wondering what I'd give the first 2 episodes from my previous video, I'll probably give them a 4, is what I would like to say if they weren't at the very beginning of the show, so they receive a 3. And with that, I'm going to wrap up my memory loss arc review. Next time, we cast our eyes to the Umibozu arc, which introduces us to one of the strongest characters in the series, who also happens to be Kagure's dad. Thank you so much for watching. Please do press subscribe if you haven't already, like or dislike, and leave your thoughts and opinions on the memory loss arc in the comments below. That's all I had to say today, so I'll see you next time.